Welcome to the space where creators have aligned a positive and intellectual collab of open minds for sharing and learning from one another. It's a vibe. We do Rosa podcast on the mic. Subscribe, educator spitting bars. I guess you didn't know I'm multifaceted and humble, taking off life goals. The classroom is my comfort zone where I plant and sow seeds of knowledge, compassion, empathy, and hope. Reading is the key to unlocking your potential. Countless benefits, including cognitive and mental. Regardless of the genre, books are highly influential. Go get yours, I'll get mine. Making strides, monumental. And rock with me and get down to this new jam. With my friends, I had a very simple plan. Educate the masses through books and life lessons. It's the grand slam. I'm out. Talofa lover, Bula vinaka, and welcome to the Reads with Rosa podcast. On today's show, our special guest is a small business owner. Originally from the Fiji Islands, she is now living in Orlando, Florida. She is the creative director of FijiCreations, and her goal is to spread the Bula Spirit to everyone. Welcome to the show, Adalyn Hazelman Jaquez. How are you, sis?
Hi, thank you. I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I am great. I'm doing really well, and thank you so much for coming on the show. I am so excited to have you here. You know, we've been trying to get this organized for a while. You're a busy mom, got a family, so I really appreciate this. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure. I'm blessed to come on your platform and be able to chat with you, and connect with you, and hopefully connect with everyone else out there who watches our little podcast together.
It's all good, sis. We are going to be all good. And you know, by the end of this, there are going to be people connecting. I mean, that's why we're here. I want to put you on blast. I want to give you your flowers. You know, running a small business, it is not an easy thing to do, especially when you have a family, you have a full-time job. And we're going to get into that later in the show. But before we move anywhere, before we start, I like to give guests an opportunity just to do a brief introduction. Tell us a little bit about yourself, or perhaps uh, shout out your support crew, your villages, or yeah.
All right. So, my name is Adalyn, like Rosa has said. I grew up in the beautiful islands of Fiji, Lotoka, so western side of Fiji. Grew up, born and raised in Lotoka, and then I played sports. So I played tennis all through my younger years, and it was through tennis that actually got me scholarship to come to the U.S. So I had the opportunity to travel here and there, play tennis, get a little better at it, and then I was one of the few that got a scholarship to come here. We're usually part of a program back home. It's the International Tennis Federation, and so all the kids from the Pacific Islands would come and join the academy, and then when you're done with high school, you get the chance to go to US to get a scholarship.
Wow.
So that's how I came here. I kind of followed the path of my brother who did it first, and I was like, hey, I want to do that. Well, actually my parents were the ones that said, okay, he did it, you got to do it. There's no question, right? There's no, you do it and you go. So they're always big on that. So I thank my parents really for pushing us and for just being the support system that we needed in order to kind of break that barrier and like travel and, do something that not many people did back then. But yes, I came to the US, went full force so I traveled here alone at 18,
Wow.
went to New Mexico Military Institute for 2 years where I got my associates, and then I transferred over to a university, 4-year university in Georgia, where I competed my last 2 years and completed my bachelor's in business administration. So then all while that happened back in New Mexico, I was fortunate enough to meet my husband now. While we were in school, he played baseball. And then we both came back here to the Orlando, Florida, where his family currently stays. And we decided we wanted to stay here as well. And here we are today. So fast forward, 10 years, 10 plus years. Here I am. We have a beautiful baby boy who's almost 3 years old. And, I'm just enjoying life, trying to do different things here and there, and that's how the small business came up. And I think it's been just a great journey so far. So yes, I think really, if I have to shout at anyone, it would be my parents, my family, and just my support system, my husband. And his family here, because they do a lot as well. Because I don't have much family here, except my brother. So
yeah. Wow, that was great. Sis, that was awesome. That was a great intro. I had all these other questions, like, let her finish, let her finish, Rosa, let her finish. So let's just rewind a little bit. Prior to traveling to the US, 18 years old, on your own, had you traveled anywhere else outside of the homeland?
Of Fiji, yes. So we usually get to go to New Zealand. I went to New Zealand once, I believe, for tennis, and then probably like 2 or 3 times. It was so long ago, I can't remember. But we always went for like a team tournament competition type thing, where our coaches would take us. So tennis has
So
been
cute.
just, yes, a huge part of our lives. And the reason why I think like, for anyone who's gone through the same system or steps as I did, it's opened up so many doors. So apart from Australia, New Zealand, and I don't share too much, but I also got to like participate in the South Pacific Games back when, I think it was Samoa. I cannot tell you what year it was, and I got to go to Cook Islands. So it just opened so many, like, my eyes, like, when, like, okay, I want to travel, I want to do this, I want to do that. So I encourage that so much. If you can travel, if you can see different places, if you can meet different people, cultures, learn about different cultures, because we're only we're we're so small, and the world is so big. And there's so much.
Man, that's so awesome. You mentioned your support crew, support system, obviously your husband and his family. You've got your brother. Is your brother also in Orlando, Florida as well?
No, he is in Atlanta, Georgia. So he coaches tennis there. Yep.
Oh, wow. And then what I wanted to ask is, in terms of staying connected to your culture, I mean, I imagine your husband's family being Dominican, that, oh my gosh, the rich culture and language. In terms of staying connected with your Fijian culture and language, are there others, maybe not in your immediate area, but close by, that you can connect with and kind of get that island
I
support?
know exactly what you mean. It's this feeling, right?
Yeah.
This feeling. So not as much, but I don't know. See, and I get mad at myself because I don't know if I've looked hard enough into it to find a community here. And I think that's where I was like, okay, I gotta do something. If I can't find it, I gotta create something. Wait, maybe I can help create something. Maybe it might not be here in Orlando, but maybe, with everything being online now and everything, I thought that was my initial goal. Because at first it was like, oh, I cannot do this. Like, why would I even think of this? But definitely it would be my brother. He is kind of, we lean on each other for that connection. So we usually, have our catch-ups once or twice a week, or just randomly. He will call me, and we sometimes don't even talk about anything, but we lean on each other for that. And then in a way, the Hispanic culture as well kind of feeds into that, because the love is always big here, and that's huge. I feel that every single day. So I'm always grateful for that. The food is, I mean, you get, and if you know what they eat yuca, I can go to the Spanish supermarkets and find cassava, dalo,
yeah.
some seafood, and stuff like that. So I mean, and then I can go certain places and find some curry, and I don't know. So yes, I definitely lean on food, and then my brother. So if that makes sense, but I hope in the near future I can be physically part of a community here or help create one, because I think there's more of a community like in Miami, further away, and I just don't have enough time in a week to be able to make those travels and connections. So that's why, in a way, FijiCreations is here.
Yeah, this is what it's all about. And then has your husband visited like Fiji? Like, have you been able to go back there as a well, obviously your son's still quite young.
Two times, going on third one, or we've been there more than twice, definitely. And we're planning our next visit soon. So
that's awesome. For anyone who's listening, for anyone who is watching, please go and check out Adalyn's website, FijiCreationsShop.com. Now, on your website, when I was doing some research, it says, as a first-time mama in the middle of the pandemic, I wanted to create a space for myself to be creative again. And boom, FijiCreations was born on Instagram. So I want to talk about the creative again, like being a creative again. Were you actually, have you created merchandise and things like that? Have you done something like that previously, or?
So never to sell. It was always just I always find myself doing, DIY projects or creating artwork to display around the house or changing up something here and there, right?
Okay.
Or just, that's what when I say creative side, it just means like putting time aside to organize, to whether it's coloring or painting or some more hobbies, I would say.
Right.
And I would say that it's something that I definitely found love for growing up, because I would follow, and we can go into that more if you want, but
yeah, for
I
sure,
would
please go
follow
ahead.
my grandma at times, and this is before tennis ever happened, because once tennis happened, it took a lot of our time. But growing up, I used to, so my grandma was a nurse, but when she retired, she took her love or her pride in her culture, and she is Rutuman. So she took that and she started making baskets and, weaving and making all these art projects. And she would go to like markets, and I never understood it at the time, because I would follow her sometimes and I used to be like, oh my gosh, like, what is that? And she would always try to teach me things here and there. But it's so funny, because now I'm the same way. Like, I'm always like leaning, like, what can I learn? How can I do this myself? Or, so I think back and I'm like, oh my gosh, I could have learned so much more from my grandma. And I did, but it could have been so much more.
Well, you know what? Actually, now that you mention it, maybe she was just planting the seeds.
Yep.
And now is the opportunity, like you've said, now that you're thinking back, it's those opportunities to go, hey, actually, I do remember that. And then taking some of that skill set and just applying it to your craft and your creations.
And making it my own. But
absolutely,
my grandma, I mean, she is, I think, okay, this might be biased, but I think she is like the queen of like art. And she used to go like, once I was in tennis and I couldn't, I would always want to say, man, I would really like to go with her. but she would go to these art festivals and be guest speakers, and she was very connected to women empowerment and sharing like things from the culture and how to teaching people. And so that, and she was invited places, and I was like, wow, man, my nana is doing all these things. And she got older, but she would travel, she would go to different Pacific Island countries and do that. So that, I think, in a way, has always stuck to me. Like, I know it's in there somewhere. And then my aunt, my aunt has always been very has had her connections back to the culture as well. She's more on the education side, so she's very strong about the language. She's very creative as well. And then my mom as well, she likes to do her little flower arrangements. So it's in there. It's in the
in there, just waiting for you to like.
Yeah. So it's something that I've, I'm proud of today, of what I'm doing. And
that's
it might
so
be
cool.
small, but
Yeah.
I think for me it's given me that fulfillment.
Right. And so in terms of FijiCreations being born, you did mention that you studied business.
Yes.
And is this idea of starting a small business, has that, obviously you've mentioned, that creative gene, or the seeds that have been planted by mom, your nana, your aunt, your family members, that's there. But in terms of actually starting a small business and saying, oh, you know what, I think I'm actually going to sell some of my stuff, my creations. So was that always a goal for you, as someone who had kind of gone through and studied like business, or had it always kind of the idea been sitting in the back of your mind, and then bam, the pandemic happened, you're like, hey, you know what, here's an opportunity?
Yeah.
Do you know?
So yes and no, because going through school, it was just like, okay, I'm here, I need to get my degree, that's my goal, and then play tennis. That's it. And then so when it finished, I would say that I always wanted to start something of my own. Because a 9 to 5 is great and all, but sometimes it's exhausting, and sometimes it doesn't give you all that fulfillment. I love my job, but I think there was more that I wanted to contribute to. I wanted to create that extra connection, not just for myself, but I believe there's someone else out there like me that is far away from home, and if it's a t-shirt or a hoodie or something that helps them remember and feel the love, feel the Bula Spirit, then that's what I want to give back. A way of giving back. I think that's what I was leaning towards, a way of giving back to those around me and build that community. But no, never would I ever thought, never would I ever thought of having a business. I just thought it was more work. And then during the pandemic, I started seeing all these, people just like me, just doing their thing and taking that leap of faith, and just starting small, and then having that encouragement. And then I started to see more Pacific Islanders doing it, and I was like, wait a minute. But when I first started, I was very hesitant. I knew I had to practice a lot, so it was a lot of YouTube videos, TikToks at the time, and trying to get to the point where I was like, okay, I'm ready to see how this goes now. And I was hesitant. I was hesitant to put out Pacific Islander, stuff, because yes, I'm not, I probably am not the best weaver out there or something. So I had to think, how can I, right? How can I also, sell something, but also have that feeling expressed or gained by somebody out there. So it helped. It helped in having a business degree, has helped in some of the process, but I think a lot of it is just extra reading, learning, practicing. And I do strongly believe that the more you practice something, the more confidence you will get, the more better you will get at it, and you won't know, right? So that's a big thing for me this year. And even when I started, so now I believe more than I did when I started, because when I started I was like, okay, let's just see how
Yeah.
it goes.
Test the waters. Test the
Yeah.
waters.
So I mean, from then till now, I would say it's grown so much more than I've expected. And the people that I've been connected to, or even the people that just come on and comment and everything like that, it just feels so good. So I believe I'm doing, I'm reaching those goals one day at a time.
And then the name of your business, how did you, I mean, coming up with a name isn't, it's never an easy thing to do. So how long did you kind of like spend on trying to come up with a name? And then why FijiCreations? Like, what is it about that name that just speaks to this message of empowerment and spirit and fulfillment and love for your roots and your history and just sharing that? Okay, I'm getting carried away here, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yes, no, I know.
I'll
And
let you answer.
and there's so much more. Like, I'm not an expert, I have so much more to learn, so much more to learn and experience. And I feel like sometimes, like, also being here, or with tennis, and this is maybe one of the downfalls, I've missed out on some of that, because the sacrifice was this was a sacrifice. So now I'm like, okay, how can I learn all these things again, or how can I give back? But FijiCreations. So I obviously wanted whoever comes on, or whoever comes into contact with the brand or my business, I want them to know about Fiji. I want, if that's my talking point, if that's all they want to do is ask me questions about Fiji, or why Fiji, or that has always been a talking point. The minute I tell somebody I'm from Fiji, usually the first thing they'll say is, "What are you doing here?" So that had to be in there somewhere, because there's so much to talk about, and there's so much to learn, just from having Fiji in my as my name, as part of the brand. Creations, because I wasn't sure. I didn't want to just name it Fiji T-shirts, or so, yeah, I sat on this for a while. So, and then just to rewind back a little bit. So when I started the Instagram, this is when I didn't know it would turn into a small business.
Right.
I just wanted a platform to showcase, like, okay, or to keep myself accountable. This is what I made today. This is what I made for my son or for my family. So I just posted, and then I would say few months later, because I started off as it started off as a hobby, and going on and on, I was like, man, I think I could really do this. Like,
Yeah.
I think there's a chance for this to, spread more than what just a hobby. And why not? Because if it grows and grows, then I'm reaching my goals, and I'm spreading what I want to spread, which is the Bula Spirit. I want people to feel good, and feel loved, and feel all the good vibes. We talk about good vibes here, and that's all I ever want to do, in any situation, any person that I come into contact with. I really just want to spread that Bula Spirit. But yeah, going back, just the name, the Bula Spirit, everything, I think it all just kind of came together. A lot of, like, going back and forth, even while on maternity leave. I was like, okay, how can I do this? What can I do? How can we do it all together? And then a
Right.
lot of sleepless nights, because I could not sleep, because I was excited, but I was also tired, because I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah.
So that, yeah.
So you've heard it here first. Bula Spirit. Check out the website, Fiji Creations shop. .com. Uh, Adalyn has already mentioned Bula Spirit. So Bula, it says on the website, on her website, Bula is more than just a Fijian greeting, which she has alluded to already, folks. It is a way of life that roots from love, happiness, and good energy. I mean, who would not want to be part of that and get some of that Bula Spirit? So if you're listening and you're curious about this, FijiCreationsShop.com. Hit her up, FijiCreations on Instagram. I mean, you will not be disappointed. It's hard work.
Yeah.
She's already shared some of this with us. It's never easy. Yes, being brave and being courageous and kind of stepping out and saying, "This is my brand," and now I'm actually going to put myself out there. So you are so brave, sis. For real, you are so brave.
Thank
And
you.
you
So
mentioned,
are you, anyone out there. So we all have it in us,
for
right?
real,
We all
absolutely.
have it in us. And just quickly,
Yes.
if you are thinking about something, if you want to start something,
Mm.
it's not going to be easy. I'll tell
No.
you that. But if you do not do it, if you do not try, you will never know, right? If
Mm.
you do not ask, if you do not take the time out to learn, you will never know. So I challenge you all to, if there's something lingering in the back of your mind, go ahead and try it out. The worst that could happen is it was not meant to be, and now you can move on to the next best thing and try that out. But that's what life is all about, right?
Absolutely. You heard it here first, fam. You heard it here first. Straight from Adalyn. FijiCreations on Instagram. Check her out. So I wanted to know, in terms of business, how much of it is word of mouth? Like, are you locally? Are you kind of like, is it word of mouth, friends and family kind of spreading news about your business? And then if not that, then are you getting a lot of people connecting through your social media platforms? Like, what I ask this because I'm sure that if there are people who are kind of wanting to step out and start their own venture, they might be wondering, how do I go about getting this
Yeah.
out there? You know?
Yep. So, that's a good question. So when when it all started, yes, it was a lot of things I made, things that my family and friends would request, and still I get those now as well. So I do take custom orders. So if someone wants something specifically for an occasion or just to wear to a concert or something, I usually will take orders like that. Just depends.
Right.
How much time I have, how I can fill that into my schedule. But definitely, word of mouth has been a great source. But Instagram, I think just making sure that I'm not afraid to share the good, the bad, the ugly,
Right.
and everything that has worked and not worked. And I get on myself sometimes because I'm like, oh, I'm not doing enough, or I'm my own worst critic. So I have to tell myself that it's okay. It's okay if I don't post one day. It's okay if I don't get the feedback, because I may not see it. I may not see the results today, but maybe someone down the line is going to see that, and maybe they won't purchase from me, and that's great. Again, I am here to spread that Bula spirit, right? I want to encourage other women, other men, any young person growing up, that if they think they cannot do it, they can. And then, just going into, so exploring different things. I do lean on social media a lot. This last month, actually, I wrote some goals down, which I
Okay.
have so many notebooks for, but I finally got down and I said, what do I want to achieve in in the month of July? How many do I want to get more orders? Do I want to gain more, followers that I can connect with? So I listed down some goals, and I took it upon myself to try out TikTok more. Because yes, I
Right.
use TikTok, but everyone wants to go viral,
Oh, yeah, hard.
so so not to go viral, but to see if I could reach more Pacific Islanders, because yes, I'm open for business for everyone, right? I am not here to sell to just one particular community. I am here to empower women, and then also what I want to do is connect with other Pacific Islanders as well. So that was my goal. And I will say, oh my goodness, I didn't know that I could reach so many beautiful people through TikTok. I just didn't think I was, again, me being inside my head, and I told myself I wouldn't, but I was able to get some customers from
Okay.
different other states that I didn't even realize there were other Fijians close by here in Miami, or
There you go.
another Pacific Islander. And I have to, so I have like a map, like a, how do you say, like a FijiCreations map that I've seen people fill in as they get orders from states. So that is my goal, to sit down and see how many states I've actually, sold to. But it's definitely been more Pacific Islanders. So shout out to all of you who have supported the business. Thank you so much. And if you haven't already, please do check it out. I hope to, if time lets me, I hope to, continue to creating things that you can connect with, and hopefully you will love what I have.
That is awesome. That is so good to hear. That is really awesome news. In terms of, when we think about some of the challenges, and you've kind of, already mentioned some, like, what are some challenges and successes? It's great to hear that you did a month of July, you're setting goals. The reason why I ask about challenges is because you do have a full-time job. You are a mom. You've got your family, family time. Like, how, and then running a small business. So, what are those challenges, or what have been? You've mentioned some successes. I love that idea of that map. Tell us what other things have been really good and really happening. Good things that have happened to you since starting this business.
Do you want to hear the good first or the bad first?
I'll let you decide, sis. You go ahead.
So definitely challenges, right? There's challenges in everything that we do, whether or not I had a business or didn't have a business. I do try my best, and this always comes first. My family always comes first. Yeah. So if that means, the business has to wait, or in order, so I don't have, like, I'm one person doing all the small business stuff. My husband helps me out wherever he can, in taking care of the baby when I really gotta get an order out. But I do cherish my family time, so sometimes that means that it takes me a little longer to get something done, but that doesn't mean that it is not done in the best way that I can. It is still done. Time, there's never enough time. There's never enough time. I wish I could add on more hours to the day.
Yeah.
And then sometimes life just happens, and you have to adjust. And I think, having a schedule is great. Trying to pin down what hours you have. What works best for me might not work best for you. So I'm a night owl in general. I like to stay up, and I prefer to sleep in, if anything. But with a kid, I don't even sleep, so it's okay. That's where coffee comes in, right? But I prefer to work. I feel like the creative juices kick in at night when it's quieter, because some of my processes do take longer, and I wish it was 5 minutes and here you go, here's everything that I can do, but it doesn't. I like for example, right now I'm trying to work on getting our fall Halloween new merchandise out. Just a few things, but it's taken me longer than I initially planned, and it's okay. So being nice to myself comes part of it as well. Because again, sometimes it's easy to say, oh, it's easy to get into the phase where you think maybe this isn't working, but you have to challenge yourself. You have to wake up and say, what do I want to achieve today? What are my goals? And even if it's you getting one thing done out of the 5, you're still winning. You're still doing something towards what you want to achieve. So a balance of that. Now the good comes when the best part is, I would say about my small business, is when not only you connect, but then you see someone. So I love seeing people share what wearing their merchandise, and it makes me feel so happy. Like it fills me with so much joy that a t-shirt that I made that is giving you that feeling. So I take a lot of pride in that, and I hope it can just continue into so much more stuff.
I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for you right now. I really am. Like it's so inspiring.
Thank you.
Hearing what you're sharing, and you've mentioned, you've continuously talked about this idea of empowering women, bringing Pacific Islanders together, reaching and connecting. And it made me wonder about role models. Like, you've mentioned your nana, your aunt, your mom, amazing woman, no doubt.
I don't have one. I have many.
Many.
And thanks to also like us having the internet and like all these other platforms that you can turn to, right? In phases like that. This might not be a role model, but I lean on my music.
It's okay.
I do like to also go and follow and watch other moms, or other Pacific Islander women who have small businesses. And, there's probably too many that I follow now, but I lean on like their encouragement, or I don't have specific names, but depending how I'm feeling, or or I will lean on my husband and say like, I'll ask him questions, and sometimes we all need that encouragement. Or I remember my reason why, and that's what I've heard multiple people say. Whenever you have those days, you need to lean on the reason why you started what you started. Whatever you did, whatever you have accomplished till now, and go back to that. If it means you have to step away, then you step away. But I think my role models really go back to my nana and my parents, and how hard they worked. And I wouldn't want my kid to go across the world without me, but they made that sacrifice, and I lean on them. I lean on them and think about all the things that they have accomplished in getting us where we are today. So really, if you talk about role models, it will be other small business, big business owners, especially Pacific Islander ones, and then my family. So really, yeah, those are my big role models.
So I wanted to ask, what makes your small business different? Or what makes your business different? You've mentioned encouragement and empowerment, which I think are super important. And you seem to be someone who's very passionate and driven and so determined to succeed, and to really put your story put the story of FijiCreations out there. So for anyone who's wondering and is hearing all this like encouragement from you, what makes FijiCreations different to other businesses?
I believe it's the love and
Mm,
the extra time and energy
mm,
that goes into each of the products. So I don't have a whole, I don't bunch of stuff
oh,
and have them stored and ready to ship out. I am a
mm,
small business, right? It costs a lot of money. So what I do is unless I specify on the website, a lot of things are made to order. So when you place,
mm,
when you order from me, I I do keep a stack of shirts and all my merchandise that are blanks.
mm,
But I will go get that shirt, print out the design, put it on there, make sure that everything is good to go.
yeah,
And if I mess up this one tiny bit, oh, we're redoing it.
yeah,
Sometimes I say, like, I take so long on one order, but when I put that, when I take out my time and when I receive an order, I do put in like 110% into it,
mm,
and I believe when you receive your products and your merchandise, I think you feel that love and
mm,
just you feel that love when you get it, because I
right,
took the time to um, go all out. um,
mm,
and it's you sometimes you only see that part, like you see the end product, but you
right,
don't see the behind the scenes, right? Oh, and for any small business, you don't see the
mm,
prep it takes, the energy, the sleepless nights sometimes, or
oh,
sometimes just coming up with new designs and thinking whether people will be drawn to it. And
mm,
I think you really feel that. Not only just for me, I see this on behalf of all small businesses. We're not
mm,
Amazon, we're not Walmart, those big companies where they have 500 plus people working.
right,
We are everything and we're all that we got. And I know you understand that as
mm,
well. So you really do feel the love and the time
mm,
and the effort, and that goes a long way. So that's the difference. Also, just the empowerment that you feel.
mm,
I choose what I choose because when you wear a shirt or you
mm,
wear a hoodies, the things you wear um,
mm,
can dictate how you feel. And even though on a bad day, you don't want to dress up, but you want to put on a shirt that has a meaning to it, because not just I'm wearing it, you're
mm,
showcasing that to other people. So if I can have words of encouragement, maybe I don't need it today, but somebody else
mm,
needed that. So I hope that it has that domino effect, if
right.
if that makes sense.
Have you ever thought about sending your designs or maybe some of your products to maybe back to the island or to local stores or even go to a local market to promote your business? Is that something that you've tried or not yet? Or
Not yet.
okay.
So it's definitely on my list of things that I do want to accomplish this year.
Mm.
I'm going to what do they say? A farmer's market. That's what
Oh.
they call them here, and like a pop-up shop. But I've seen all these things about Polyfest here and there.
Yeah.
So maybe one day that would be a dream to go
Yeah.
to one of those events, or to have one close by where I could go and showcase, all my Pacific Islander merch that I have up until then. But if I had to do it here, yes, I would. I would
Mm.
definitely showcase, all the products I have.
Mm.
Um, to see what type of feedback I get from the
Right.
community that I have. But I have not done that yet. I do hope maybe in the future that something will, extend out opportunity for me to have something in a small shop, or I've seen a lot of, so hint hint, I've seen a lot of like cover shops pop up here and there. So maybe there will be something. I don't know.
I mean, I have
I
followers in
might
the
have said too
US.
much already. Maybe I put, but we gotta put it out there. Sometimes
Yeah. And
and it's funny because my mind keeps going. Like
yeah.
I need to write things down, and sometimes I don't get to it, and I'm like, oh man, that would be great, but
Right.
only time will tell.
And I the reason why I ask is I do have followers like around the US. Like if there is anyone out these ways, out in Florida, in Orlando,
Please, yes, let me know.
especially, please, connect with Adalyn. She is doing, an awesome job. Full on trying to get her small business out there. So if you got any connections, please connect with her and see how you can support her. Just for anyone who's listening and watching. Going back to the pandemic, when all of this really started to get moving in terms of getting the small business up and running. Were you still working at home, working online, because you have a full-time job? And I want to know, like, how do you manage? Are there days, because you've said there's custom-made stuff, so, and then of course family's always first, so are there days that you kind of like close off and say, you know what, these are the days where I will specifically, or evenings that I dedicate to creating or designing or drawing or coming up with what's next? Or during the week I absolutely do nothing? Like, what's your schedule in terms of obviously pandemic is different, right? Because you got a lot of time. But now with everything opening up, like, how do you keep the business afloat but keep a full-time job, but family at the forefront of all of that? Tell us about your busy schedule.
So yes, it's so crazy. But funny story is when I gave birth to my son, January 2020, I was on maternity leave. And this was at the time when so a lot of my business thoughts, or like how I wanted to expand, came from my lovely machine here. Tell
us about your machine.
So my Cricut, I'm not sure, I probably am not saying it right because a lot of people pronounce it wrong, but this is basically a machine that allows you, and it comes with a software as well, but there's so many other softwares, but it allows you to cut your designs, and then what I do is heat transfer vinyl. So when I cut the design, I create, and then I cut. This machine allows me to do more than just cut, and I can do several different things on it. But that's where I started to spark the ideas, right? But I didn't get my machine, and a good friend of mine helped me actually get one, because at the time I'm frugal. If you don't know me, I am frugal. I was raised in Fiji, man. I don't need a lot to be happy.
Yeah, right.
So this was like, oh man, if I had one, that would be great. And then a good friend of mine, helped me get one, and it was upwards from there. But when I gave birth, I didn't have this machine, and I was on maternity leave, and right when I went back to work, it was around March, and this is when I went back, and 2 to 3 days later, it was locked down. It was a blessing in disguise, because I got to spend more time with my son and work a little from home. And then the machine came, and that is so that's when I started doing all the projects and everything, but I mean busy schedule with a newborn, and then just trying to see where I could fill it in. And I'm sorry, I went a little bit off topic, but with our busy schedule, I try, if I can dedicate, so I like to say I dedicate like 2 days during the week. right?
Mm,
But that always changes. During the week, I'll stay up a little later after the baby goes down and try see if I can complete some stuff, whether it's working on
mm,
organizing the website, or drafting up some designs, or replying to emails if I have any to reply to. But otherwise, Saturday or during nap times are the best
mm,
times because I can quickly get in a little work here and there. um,
mm,
so it just depends. I don't have a set schedule. I like to have a flexible schedule because
mm,
things come up, right? Again, I'm a night owl, so sometimes there's nights where I can't fall asleep. So these are the nights when I feel like if I go and sit down and if it comes to me, we work. And if it
mm,
doesn't, then we try to do something else, organizing, cleaning up.
mm,
Otherwise, I will just say, okay, tonight's not the night. So it
mm.
really depends on how I feel and all that. Plus, I've been trying to get back in the gym, man.
Right.
So that's also tiring. But sometimes on my lunch break at work, I won't go out and eat. I will choose to dedicate that time to working on the website again. Um,
Mm,
there's a lot of things that go into it. So yes, some days I'm like, man, I just want to do it, but
right.
it comes full circle when I'm supported with questions,
Mm.
comments, or even orders.
And you do all of this by yourself, right? You don't have like someone that can help with the website. Like everything is all solo, right? Or you, or does your husband help? Like, are there areas where it's a team, or is this kind of like your baby where you're doing everything?
It is my baby, so he definitely comes in on the financial side of it. So he'll kind of help me with budgeting and
Mm,
kind of tell me like, okay, well, this is, even though I am a business major,
mm,
he's better. Even with our family, he's definitely more. He's better at
mm,
budgeting and all that
right.
stuff. So sometimes I lean on him for that. But
Mm,
everything else, I mean, it's me. Like I went out and I researched a lot on how to create the website, and
mm,
that was a very, very, those were some long nights because that I mean, until today I'm still learning how to get the hang of it, or how
mm,
to make it better or more appealing. um, but it's continuous work. It's just like anything else, learning new
mm,
things at your job, learning new things at school, and putting them
mm.
into practice. So it's not just here it is and that's it.
Right.
It's continuous. How can you get better? How can you
Mm.
um, take the next step if you want to, if you're ready for that? So yep.
Mm. And so then how do you take care of yourself? Like self-care is an important question that I ask all the guests.
Yes.
How do you look after yourself so that you can be at your best for your family? You've mentioned you're back up at the gym again. And I know that you love, create that creative um the creative juices that you've talked about. Like I get that as a creative, but do you disconnect and take time to just look after yourself without, I don't want to say a burden because it's not a burden because you're doing something you love.
I
Do you
understand
know?
I understand what you mean. So yes, on days, and husband will know when I'm hitting when I'm hitting
Right.
there. Um, but the gym definitely helps. Just me getting an exercise and move, because I've always been used to that. But
Right.
um, uh, I don't need to have a six pack. I am not in that phase anymore. I use it to just have time away from my phone, away from, everything else, and it's just me, and I am, just for an hour, I am taking care of myself, and and that helps a lot. It is very tiring. Sometimes I ask myself, why do I do this to myself? Oh, I just want to sleep. But I know the benefits of moving, working out. You don't have to be the strongest person to go to the gym. I encourage everyone to move. Whatever that looks like for you, go out there and, you know, get your muscles loosened up, and get a sweat on, and disconnect from your phone a little bit, because technology is great, but it also has taken up so much of our precious time as well. The other thing I like to do with the family is go to the beach. So that's a good thing about living here in Florida. Orlando, we're not too far from there, and when we go, it's disconnect.
Right.
That I love going to the beach. Who would have guessed, right? Um, the other thing, I do on the side, I do like to cook. I will cook to, that's kind of something that I will do on the side if I'm feeling a little worked up or anything like that. Part of it is doing that or cleaning. Self-care for me is cleaning. So if you've noticed, I'm horrible at just sitting still.
Right.
I used to like it, and I used to take the longest naps and everything, but I don't know. Now I'm just, if I'm not doing something, I'm doing something else. The other thing I like to do, as part of self care is, also, I'll go here and there. I'll go get my nails and my toes done, or spend time with my girlfriends.
Right.
That's important to me. Girl time, and just having, going out to brunch, going out on a girls trip or a weekend trip, those where I can connect back to my college best friends, my family girlfriends. Yeah, so that's important.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad.
Take time to rest. Yes.
Yes, and I'm glad to hear that, because there is only one of you. So just, it's so important to take care of yourself, look after yourself.
Yes.
And then in terms of future plans, like ideally, if you could just focus solely on, is the idea that eventually as the business grows, do you hope that one day you can just focus solely on growing FijiCreations? Is that kind of like long-term plan for you? Like, what do you have in your mind, short-term, long-term goals for the business?
Yeah, I mean, if I can work on this 24/7, oh man. And it work out all perfectly, that would be really exciting. That would be, I think, an ultimate goal, where this is my job, right? This is my 9 to 5. But for now, it is one day at a time, one step at a time. And then I know we talked about being able to expand. So I actually have opened up to more international orders, as well. So maybe I'm trying it out. Maybe I could reach more people as well. But I have gotten some feedback from Fiji, like, hey, is this available in Fiji? So maybe getting my parents involved and having something back home where, if they have it there, they can benefit from that. And because my parents are retired, they don't need much. They live, thank God, they live a good, peaceful and good life. But it's all about giving back. So maybe I'll be able to connect more and do some community service with different places here and there, and just get the word out about not just Fiji, but Pacific Islander community, because I don't think yes, many people know about, us and our cultures and how different and similar they may be. I don't think it's something that is, at least here, that I've experienced, unless you have a strong community where you live. I miss a lot of people mistake me for being Hispanic, and they talk to me in Spanish, but I am learning because my son,
Yeah.
he will learn that. But it is important for me
Right.
to also. I'm not the strongest speaker when it comes to Fiji and Rutuman, but I know enough that I want to pass down to my son. And I think that's where my strong need to do something to connect him and I and my family back to my culture. So it has maybe him coming into our lives was a sign that, okay, I need to show him what you know what his culture is also consisted of, and where he comes from, and feel that connection. Because what I would never want to happen is for him not to feel like he has a home away from home.
Do you have any book recommendations for us?
Yes. So this year as well, um, there's so many goals, right? We all have so many goals, but I am trying to read more. With
Right.
so many things happening, sometimes I I I may not have the time to read as much as I want to, but definitely get into more books that are written by Pacific Islander authors, or stories about the Pacific Islanders. Because when I was growing up, in our English classes, you had like, maybe some people will know this, but Pacific folk tales and
Right.
just myths and legends of the Pacific. And those were stories that, I enjoyed reading. And I may have separated from that a little bit, but then I heard about this book, the stories by women of Moana. And obviously, with FijiCreations being part of women empowerment, and then it being like someone from the Pacific Islands as well, or women, a group of women writing short stories. And short stories are my favorite because I'm horrible at getting through books. So
Right.
this one, I'm slowly making my way through it, but I have loved it so far, and I think it came at a great time. So thank you, Rosa, because it was all over your page, and
Yay!
you got me. So I thank you for that, and I lean on that from your page, because you have so many intelligent and empowering and motivated, guest speakers that I enjoy listening in, and seeing what recommendations you as well as other people have. And then quickly, like, so every time I go home, my aunt, who I previously talked about, so she usually recommends books for me, and my brother, because like I said, she is more on the education side of things. She is very she will only speak to us in our Rutuman language, if whenever she can, whether you understand her or not.
Right.
So she always encourages us to buy, to have books in our storage somewhere. So I have like our Rutuman dictionary, and it
Oh.
and it and it kind of goes into detail about what words mean, how they're spelled, and it's not a storybook, but I think it's something important for me to have in my library or shelf that I go into here and there. So this is where my brother and my conversations come up, because we're
Right.
like, how do you say that word again? Oh, we have the dictionary, and then we go in and we try to test each other here and there. But then there's also this book that is called Tales of a Lonely Island, and I don't know if these are online, but this is basically the story about Rutuma. So I'm not sure if you know much about Rutuma Island, but Rutuma is basically an island off the coast of Fiji, but
Mm.
it's close enough where it is part of Fiji.
Right,
We have
right.
our own, so it's considered Polynesia, and
Mm.
Fiji is more Melanesia.
Right, right.
And so they have their own customs, own
Mm.
culture, language, but everything else is the same. Fiji, they use the Fiji currency and everything.
Mm.
And people from the island will go to the main island for further education and stuff like that.
Mm.
But similarities would
Right.
be close to something of I would say Samoa, Tonga,
Mm, mm.
um, like traditions in a way, but again different as well.
Yeah.
So it's important, right, to know
Right.
things like that.
Yeah, when you mentioned that, so I was just checking the episodes on my phone. So if you look at episode 55, I interviewed it was Rutuma Language Week in
Yes,
New Zealand. So one of the yeah, like I
I
was just when
saw.
you
So
mentioned that, I was like,
I was going over it,
yeah.
because sometimes I scroll and I'll be like, oh wow,
Mm.
yeah, and the name as well
Oh.
sounded, because Rutuman names you can kind of pick them out,
Mm.
like, okay, this person has to be
Small
some,
world.
yes. So I actually listened to that one and it was
Mm.
really awesome.
She is
She reminded me of my grandma, my
she's
nana.
so
That's
funny, man.
exactly how my nana would like have an
Mm.
interview, and
Mm.
it was very touching to hear.
Yeah, so oh, she is. How did I also came across her through the book Woman of the Miner, through the
Wow,
VAR
isn't that
anthology.
crazy how much connection you have
Yeah.
gotten from that? That's so
Yeah,
awesome.
so she is yeah, meditative poetry.
Yes,
For those listening, episode 55. We gotta, shout out to all the Ratuman just community. Mad love.
I am no expert,
Mm.
but these are things that my aunt, back home. When we go home, we're usually like, um, if anyone else is like me, there's always there's no place like home, and when you
Mm.
go home you want to feel those connections, and also while you're here away from
Mm.
home. So a great way, I encourage myself that I need to do it more, is through stories
Mm.
of our ancestors, or stories that are in books that are available now. But yeah, these are great. She was the one who told me that, hey, you can never go wrong with a dictionary. It's not a
Yeah.
story, but it's always good to have on deck.
Mm.
And hopefully, I will get better so that I
Mm.
can pass down the same things to my son, because that's important, right?
Absolutely. That is so sweet. That is cool. Thank you so much for sharing
Yay.
your recommendations. Before I ask you to kind of drop final words of wisdom and encouragement, well, to add on to what you've already shared, really, more gems, I like to say,
Yes.
before I give you the opportunity to kind of speak to the audience. I just wanted to say thank you so much, Adalyn. Like, we have been trying to plan this for a while, and I know with your scheduling and everything, we had to do a lot of moving around, but I appreciate this so much. And as I mentioned to you, off camera, I've been watching your small business. I've been watching your reels and your posts, reading your posts. And you had also mentioned, it's not just about showing the good stuff, it's also showing the challenging stuff and the things that don't work. So I like that about your page. And I've been watching you from afar doing your thing. I was like, man, we need to put you on blast.
Aw.
If it gets you some connections in some other form or way, I'm here for that. I'm here for that. I love your uh this passion you have for not just the business, but this empowerment, empowering women, empowering other women, empowering other Pacific Islanders to kind of just really follow what follow your heart and do what you want to do, right? Like,
Yes.
and yeah, so I love the work that you're doing. I just want people to know more about your business. I want people to know more about your journey and who you are. That's why I wanted you to come on the show. Like, that's super important. If this is one way we can help you grow, then I'm here for that. So, I want to wish you all the best. After all, we're only in August. We've still got a few more months till the end of the year, but I will continue to follow your journey. Please let me know if there's anything else that I can help you with. But just keep growing, keep striving to be the best that you can be, not just for the business and getting it out there, but also for your family. Just wishing you all the best, sis. So yeah, that's it really from me. I appreciate you. You're inspirational, great role model, and I just want to give you an opportunity to just speak to anyone who's listening, anyone who's watching, who is wanting to pursue a dream or a venture or a passion project. What would you say to them?
Yes. So, yes, first of all, thank you again. Thank you again for inviting me to your platform in order to talk to you and share my experiences and, give some words of encouragement to everyone. Really, I think it's not it's not always about the money. I think I lean towards more of the connection more. And then if that comes with sale, even better, right? But my words of encouragement would be just like you said, going more on what you said of following your dreams. If they, I think we as human beings, we all have this burning desire for something.
Mm,
And I encourage you all to dig deep into that, find your true passion, find what it is that is burning inside of you, and get it out and
mm,
share it, because you may not think that it is anything, but I promise you there's someone out there that needs that. And
mm,
if that means you have to start it and there's nothing else like it, then you are opening the doors to so much more opportunities to happen, not only to yourself, but everyone else. So if there's anyone out there looking to start a small business, go ahead, do it. Start small. Use the tools that you have. You don't need to have everything set up perfectly. I'm
right.
learning that each and every day. It is a step by step, day by day process, and it is a learning process. There's every day we're learning. So why not what you want learn more about what you want to do and what you want to bring to the table or share with the community around you. Just do it. Just go out there, have fun. Because if you do not have fun,
Mm,
um, it will feel like another 9 to 5 job. And that's not what you want to start something for. You want to start something because there is a greater purpose out there that
right.
you are trying to achieve. So I wish you all the best, and thank you again for having me on here. I definitely enjoyed myself, and I feel very good, very connected just by doing this.